Good morning. Well, what do charts tell us? That's what we're going to talk a bit about today. Hi, my name is Richard Lee. I manage the Stockradar.com.au website for you. We use our high conviction trend strategy focus on the stocks with a high probability of going up. As always, we stay true to our strategy no matter what the market's doing. And I know it's difficult at the moment, but that's what we've got to do. We respect the safe passage offered by the safety and strength of existing trends. The number of qualified trends has been vastly reduced in recent months as uncertainty calls many trends into question. And I know this will carry us forward securely until the next upswing occurs. So we respect what's happening at the moment. We take some little losses. We take what we're going to do. We protect our capital. And for now, we just really protect and wait at the moment. Okay? And I know today is another little bad day today. So what do charts tell us? Using our conservative approach to trading, the charts, they can identify a high probability of when trends are established, so then we can follow them. Why? Because trends occur repetitively and they persist for a long time. Examples will be some of the stocks I showed you last week from November of 2020. We have NAB, we have ANZ, we have South32, we have a couple of other ones in there as well. So having said that, there are many stocks trending up right now, like the ones I just mentioned, but the market is in a mood, yes. They happen, but don't fight it, respond appropriately and wait patiently for the right time to move. Markets go up and down and you will suffer from those ups and downs as well, but we try and capitalise on the ups more than the downs. Okay, so the format for today really is stay safe, follow the trend. We are pulled over here, no this way, that way. Really got to come back to some basics, which is what I'm going to do today, okay? So we just go through the overseas markets for the background. We look at the ASX 200, the Stockradar portfolio, ASX stocks, and we're going to trading tactics a bit later on, talking about trends, which is what we do. Okay, so let's go to the markets to start with, and we can see what's happened, especially tonight, this week hasn't been such a good week on the markets. We can see the Dow there now. Support is really coming under pressure there. We've had a fairly good battle here between buyers and sellers, but the sellers have been hammering this market pretty hard, but the buyers seem to have fallen foul at the moment, and we're now seeing a little bit of negativity occur. This is probably the weakest performance we've seen for the index for a while. This little downtrend here, plenty of selling, so we'll keep an eye on that. But it looks like the downside is where we're headed at the moment, and the Nasdaq confirms this high volume downtrend. Sellers are taking control. They're pushing the price down on high volume, which wasn't happening before because the buyers were coming back in and holding the market up, but not now. And the momentum is now diving below zero. So look out. We might be a bit more of a correction there. To commodities, Brent crude is going along nicely. It's had a significant break above a high here, and is now continuing on pretty well. Everyone's pretty bullish on it. Ukraine's creating a bit of a kick, which sort of worries me a little bit that everything's so bullish there for the moment. But the charts are telling me that this trend is up, so that's where I'm going to go, and that's where I'm following it for the moment. So Brent crude is the one strong point in those commodities, apart from some of those other metals. But the copper really one is still in a trading range. Not a lot to do here. We've sort of watched this for a while. It really hasn't done much. It's trying. There's plenty of buying there, but the sellers are keeping a lid on it at the moment. And gold, probably the same, although it's got to the door ajar stage. A little bit of hope there. I know the inflation topic is a bit controversial at the moment. Is this transitory? Is this consistent? Gold is certainly really not responding that well to it. It's having a bit of a bump, but since September last year, it really has been in a negative phase. So nothing really much on gold at the moment. We may get a bit more of a push. If it does get through here, we could target the R2 level, but really this is a level we want to see if the market's really going to ramp up again. And our gold stocks have been pretty iffy, although they are at support levels. Newcrest and Northern Star, a couple of those big ones, are around support. So there's always a possibility that things could change. So just keep an eye on them and see how they go. Okay, we had a good look at the ASX 200 last week, and I'm just going to refocus this one again. We can just see here now, I know today is going to be a bit of a down day, but the sellers really are taking control here, and there really is now some barriers to a rise here. We've got R1, we've got levels here, we've got the moving average. It's all suggesting that the pressure is down. So risk is on, which means that's when we protect. So we're just really trying to juggle the periods of what the market's doing. We've had this beautiful uptrending phase since COVID crash, but now we're getting some downside since last August. So we've reduced our positions significantly. Okay, the 5 stock portfolio is now down to 2 out of 5, which is a real weak one, and the 10 stock portfolio is down to 5 out of 10. Okay, so the 5 stock I think holds Computershare and Woodside at the moment. So that's probably not a bad thing. Computershare is still holding up, although it's come off a bit today. And Woodside is the oil has made a bit of a break there. Okay, the property sector is still on top of our trend intensity rankings, only rating at 6, only because everything else is so weak. So nothing really significant there. So that's really what's happened with the XJO. The portfolio is down 1 to 29 this week, and there are 22 stocks of 168 with confirmed uptrends and only 7 ETFs, and that's wielding away as well as a lot of those index-based ETFs start to crumble a bit. So the market is having some pressure. So let's just get into some stocks now and divert a little bit from what I normally go through. Last week I went through some of the biggies. I went through NAB, Telstra, JB Hi-Fi, which just can't seem to break through. Woodside's had a breakthrough, and 7 Group is making a shot at those highs. I'm not too sure what it's doing today. It's probably off a bit, but it's looking fairly positive for a move higher if we can get through those highs. So this week I want to go through a couple of stocks we really haven't looked at for quite some time. But it's really just diverting us from out in the market at the moment, because we really can't do much about what the market does. We control what we can and not what we can't. So I thought we'd have a look at Brambles today. It hasn't been really on anyone's radar for a long time, and so I just thought I'd explain to you what's happening here. This is a fairly, good technical chart. It's traded in a range of about $13.50 to about $9 for quite a few years now, since about 2016. We're now at the lower end, so I'm always looking for an angle to try and look for an opportunity here, and that's really what we've got to do at the moment, because stocks will go back up again, and we've got to put the fear aside and bite the bullet when stocks start to rise, or they tell us they're going to rise. So that's what we're going to do with that. So with Brambles, we can see the downtrend here. It is below the moving average. Volume has been quite high here, and the momentum is still weak. But this is a big support level, okay? And the first thing I saw here, trend intensity rating is -8, by the way, so nothing really there as yet. But we can look at the first period here. We can see that the heavy volume that we've had in this last little bit of downtrend here. But we can just see this big volume bar and this big spike up here. Now it's a first sign. It's like I think I say here, it's like a ray of light shining through at the moment. So it's the first good sign that we see for Brambles. There is some movement afoot there. It is in a support area. So I'm just really waiting for a couple more bits of evidence to suggest that we might see a return to the top of the trading range here, and eventually it may go through. We never know. So I'm always looking for an angle, and Brambles at the moment is probably something we could watch. If it falls through here, it's a disaster, because it's a break a big support. But if it can hold here, we might get an opportunity. So we just watch these little areas that might start to break and get us a bit of a signal. Momentum will be the last to tick up in this sort of situation, because we're looking for a trend reversal. But volume, moving average, and a resistance point will give us some sort of signal. So Brambles is one to watch. Another one I want to look at is Walle. Again, sort of in the energy materials sector. I know there's been a little bit of action in this stock over the last recently, and there's been a lot of debate on whether the move was good in America or not. However, the market seeming to warm to it slowly over the last year or so. So we can see the downtrend here from nearly $22 right down to about $5. That was a pretty significant move. But since then, since March 2020, we have seen a slight building trend reversal pattern. So what I'm looking for is a reversal pattern that says a trend may develop, I identify it, and then I follow it. So I'm waiting for that trend to develop and tell me that it's going to continue higher, and then the probabilities are in my corner. So at the moment, we actually saw Walle have a pretty good day, pretty good week this week. I'm not too sure what it's doing today. It's probably under pressure, but it's got this big trend reversal pattern. The downtrend force is decaying. The trend intensity rating has moved back up to 0. It's now above the moving average. It's sort of broken this downtrend line here. This is really the key point here, the R1 level. That's the high between the two, the low and the high low, and that's the level we look for to break through to give us a signal. So if I just broke up this volume a little bit, because we've got a big one there that we want to get rid of, we can see some volume has started to appear through here, which is a good sign for Walle. And we've also got the momentum. So this has been quite a slow burn, this one, but it's now turning around, and we could look for a favourable move. If it broke through here, then we could look for the R2 level, and that's quite an interesting stock, I think, at the moment. It's just a slow one. It's just patiently waiting, but it's looking like there's an opportunity may well develop. Okay, now two stocks I want to look at, which are actually outside my remit of 160 stocks, but I just thought I'd show them to you anyway, because trends is really what I'm talking about today. And I just want to have a look at Monash IVF, which for some time, I mean, it had a big down move for quite a while there, but more recently we've seen it develop a nice trend. So we had a nice little trend reversal down the bottom down here. We've got these higher lows, and we've got the resistance point here. Okay, so let me just blow this up a little bit so you can have a look at it. Struggle. Okay, so we had the reversal point here, and then we've just gone slowly up and high. This has been quite a slow one here for a couple of months here. High highs, high lows, high highs, high lows. It's just been a slow trend since about the end of 2020, like NAB and those stocks. There's been some stocks that have moved up. So we identify a potential trend, and then we follow the probabilities. The probabilities say that the stock price will be higher next week than this week, and from the majority of the time since late 2020, that has been true. How far can it go? That's the big question, and that I don't know. I never know that. But a trend is to be followed, so I follow with my stop until it is triggered. There are different ways of capitalising on a trend. You may want to take some part profits on the way up. There's all sorts of different ways, but this is how I do it. Just really for simplicity, so you can see what I'm doing. I identify a trend, I follow it till the trend stops by my stop strategy, and then I get out of it. So Monash IVF, trend intensity rating is 10. We can add some indicators to it, but the trend is really the most important thing there, and where your stop is. Okay, so we've got volume here, which has been, it's been okay, without sort of telling us too much. The last couple of bars up have been quite good volume. Momentum is strong, so the trend intensity rating is actually 10 on this stock here. So it is actually doing reasonably well on trend intensity basis. So it's just a simple trend that I looked at, and that's what it's doing, and it's continuing higher. And if we look back a bit, we can see actually where it came from, which was a lot higher. Let's just have a look here. I'm going all over the place now, aren't I? Okay, so it was up around, I think it was further than that, wasn't it? If we just go. That's the log that I've got here. So 240 it was, came down to about 40 cents, and we're rallying up to $1 now. So that's just a stock that's got plenty of potential. This is the next resistance level, 150. We'll keep an eye on that, and then you've got 240 up there. So the trend may continue up there. I don't know. If the stock goes off, we'll get out of it. Okay, funerals. Okay, funerals, interesting situation. Invocare was a bit of a darling for a long time in this sector, but the overseas move sort of kiboshed that stock for a while, and it's trying to recover what it lost. But in the meantime, Propel Funeral Partners was listed late 2018, and it's had a reasonably good start to its life. So if we just look at what we've got here, we've got another trend reversal pattern here. I could put this to that situation there. I could put this down to here. It's not going to move for me. There we go. I could put it down to there to show the pattern, but what I'm really looking at is it doesn't have to be exact. I'm looking for high highs, high lows. So I'm looking for these higher highs, then I get higher lows, then I get a higher high here, and that's where the signal comes in for Funeral Partners. And then it develops a trend of high highs, high lows, high highs, and you can see this beautiful trend with the moving average sitting below it. And volume's sort of okay. Momentum is quite strong. It had a little bit of a dip here in the sideways pattern here, but it's still well above zero, which is really what we want to see. So it's looking fairly interesting. So Propel Funeral Partners is something that's trending higher, and it's one of the few that is at the moment. What it's doing today, I don't know. Okay, so that's just really the trends I wanted to have a look at. And the last one I want to have a look at is one that I cover. And this is sort of interesting because there has been a lot of the metal stocks have sort of been kiboshed a bit, but this one really has just gone on very, very well for a long time. And again, it was a trend reversal pattern. Okay, identify the trend reversal, then when it breaks, then you follow the trend. Some will come, some will not. And often it's a 50-50 case. 50% of them may not work out, 50% will. And probably 10 or 20% will really make big trends. So it's all a bit of a probabilities game that we play. But when we do get a trend, whether it's South32 or computer share or NAB, when we get onto them, we hold them, because that's where we make our big money, because we do have losses and profits that we got to balance off, but we don't take big losses, we only take the big profits. So South32, if we just look at this simply, I'll try to simplify this chart a bit. We have a little trend reversal pattern down here, we have a break above here, we have good volume, momentum kicks above zero, so we've got a good signal here. And this has just really gone up and up and up and up and up. And I think I showed you last week that we're now looking to make some new highs on this one. And if it does, that's a really significant thing. The price advance is then followed with a trailing stop at a predetermined distance behind the last highest weekly close. So my stop never goes down. It's always sitting on a certain distance from the highest weekly close, because remember, my data is based on Friday's close. So that's what I do with South32, and I still hold the stock. Momentum is very strong, volume is good, so South32 is still looking pretty good to me. Yes, I say the only stock market advice you can trust is the price. The price never lies, so we can doubt and wonder, but if we look at the price and follow it, it will hopefully give us a good guide as to what stock's going to do. Okay, so now what I want to just go into briefly trading tactics today. There's nothing huge about this one, it's just about trends. Okay, so trends really are, what are they? A general direction in which something is developing or changing. It can be a fashion trend, it can be a food trend, it can be a price trend. It's what's happening, okay? How do they help us? They tell us the direction prices are likely to continue to move, so we can follow them. So a trend tells you where prices are going to be. The probabilities are that the price is going to continue higher. Okay, so that's why I want to follow a trend, because they occur repetitively, regularly, all the time in the market, okay? Especially when the market's all the sentiment's strong. At the moment it's difficult, and there's not many trends because we're a little bit confused, we're not too sure, we've had a big run, we're a little bit wary, but we've just got to get ready for these new signals and hold the ones that we do. And just continue on our way. No matter what the market is doing, we control what we can, and don't let the market control us. So we identify trends and we follow them, because we know they occur, we can follow them with confidence. Okay, so let's go back to square one. Often these sorts of times when things are busy and confusing, we get embroiled in all sorts of different signals. We've got to go right back to our basics and say, what are we really looking at? So let's go back to square one. A simple uptrend is defined as high highs and high lows, and I've tried to show you a few of those today as to how they work. It's not that complicated, and that's how they work. So this is a great filter to run over any stock, and if you run them over a lot of the stocks now, you're going to find that you don't have a series of high highs and high lows. You have either neutral moves or a move that may have gone up like BHP that hasn't had any correction at all. So really, I don't really like one to go straight up, because I don't really know what's happening. I need to have my filter of high highs and high lows to tell me what's happening. So a filter that runs over a stock, that does that trend identification, it simply says yes or no. Is it high highs and high lows? Yes, it's going up. No, it's going down or sideways. Okay, so we can build from there. It's a great start. So that's where you start. And that's where I start with my analysis. It's a trend reversal or a new high. Okay, a new high often signals a trend is going to occur. A trend reversal obviously often signals a trend is going to occur. Then I confirm it with things like volume and moving averages, but they're still subsequent things. The most important thing is the price action. Okay, so that's what I really want to go through today, to focus on trends and what we're doing at the moment. The simplicity of trends provides a unique advantage if we clear our minds of clutter and focus on the things that matter, like a simple pattern of high highs and high lows that defines a trend. Sometimes the market seems to be pulling us in all directions, over here, no this way, and it's hard, which is confusing, and simply tells us it's time to move into protection mode. Be careful. And you can see from the Dow charts and the Nasdaq chart, there's probably a bit more downside coming, okay? So stay safe, watch your trends, and I'll see you all next week.